I'm going to start recording.
In here, out there?
It's a nice day,
It's a fantastic day.
as you like.
A lovely day.
Whoa, blue sky.
Yeah. Funny thing about this bit of island, right? It does want to. It goes from blue to grey very quickly.
It does.
You know, and I've noticed the moods in people's, faces changes. So when they say that the Brits are judged by their weather, I can actually concur with that one.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentally close yourself, and not only that, you it's like drawing the curtains on your house without drawing the curtains, because it just goes grey.
So when I opened the curtains this morning, I saw how dirty my windows were because the sun was shining. So the first thing I did was clean my windows for the first time in
Listen,
months, if not years.
clean your window just to let the sun through.
Yeah.
Because we don't get much of it. I mean, if you think about it, this is really a nice. Temperature's absolutely fantastic. You know, it's a roofer's delight.
A roofer's delight. I haven't heard that before.
But, if
Oh,
you've
that's
ever
nice.
worked in a roof and you've got the cold winds coming up,
Yeah.
that's the right height where you'd get that.
So it's not too hot.
It's not too hot,
And
and
not
it's
too
just
cold.
and you've got a nice cool breeze that, just it keeps the body alive. It's good. It makes you alive.
But you have still got a tartan scarf around your neck, so the day had a touch of chill to it this morning.
No, what it is, the thing is, I try to keep my shoulders right. Look, because I had a bit of a sort of a physical sort of issue, right? So I'm going into recovery, so I try to keep my shoulders as warm as possible.
Right, okay.
Apart from that, I don't really need it. I don't really need it on.
So you're being good and you're following doctor's orders in your recuperation. You're not going, yeah, dear, tomorrow I'll do that thing I'm supposed to be. You're actually...
The thing is about David, if you don't know your body by the time you reach a certain age, right, there's no doctor in the world can tell you, right, what's right for you. So you've got to pay attention to your own needs, whether it's mental or physical. You've got to pay attention to it. And I realise that you've got to... That's why I spend a lot of time trying to create groups, trying to meet people, because I think that's like a fantastic recovery period for me without them knowing. So I'm actually sort of bringing them in, and
to create a bit of sunshine.
that interaction, it
Yeah.
creates, and it keeps the whole spirit going, because we are not we can't work in an isolated sort of, when people say, oh, I'd like to be on an island on my own. Trust me, that island will become your prison.
It's true.
Do you understand?
It's true.
Because without other people to share the experience of what you got on that island, it's just, and that's from the grain of sand
Yeah.
to the sound of the ocean, and to the wind going through the tree. You if you don't share it with anybody, forget it. It's not going to happen. I mean, look at it on this ground. We've got the right shadows here. We've got the right sounds. We've got everything.
It is gorgeous. The sound we've got in the background is a tractor moving at slow walking pace, slowly piercing the earth with those automatic punches, to make the earth breathe.
He's trying to aerate the ground, because remember, this ground is a live pitch.
Now we should say where we are. We haven't said where we are.
Okay, right. What it is? We're at Clapton Community Football Club.
Yeah.
It's trying to confuse it with Clapton Football Club.
Which is why I went on my bike this morning and ended up just on a street corner somewhere randomly.
So many people do that
from Google
but
Maps.
I always
So the community is important.
Yeah, it's important. But I always refer to as the old spotted dog.
Right.
So
the rundown pub just over there,
Yeah.
which is now defunct.
It's
boarded up.
It's a historical pub where that randy old sod Henry VIII used to come around here, because he should take his dogs, and I mean over to the Isle of Dogs.
Yeah.
Because that was all marshland and overgrown.
Yeah.
And he let them run around there and then bring them down, and on his trips, you never know what he picked up on the way. But so he would go here. Remember, they reckon Anne and Boleyn lived over in Boleyn.
There is Boleyn Lane or
Yeah,
Boleyn Road just
that's
around
right.
the corner here. Yeah.
So that's the sort of relation. I mean, somebody said there's a tunnel
Yeah.
All right, that when I don't know. I've been in there years ago. I never see the tunnel. I was going to smash through the wall once when we all had a good few drinks in there, right? And,
Oh, you're talking about inside the pub? There's
in
a
the pub,
tunnel.
yeah. There's a small basement in there, you know,
Okay.
where everything's kept. And
A
it's quite
tunnel,
dry.
a
in
tunnel
there.
from where to where?
They reckon it's a tunnel from here to the Boleyn. And I said,
my
do you know
Lord.
how many houses have been built in that route?
Yeah,
If there was
yeah,
a
yeah,
tunnel
yeah,
there, there'd be a nice clear road going on top.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Do
yeah.
you understand? Because normally all the sewage and our drainage system is normally where the roads are.
Yeah.
I said, there's
Following
no
the same
way.
lines.
Yeah, unless they filled it really well. But yeah, I mean, that's what they say. I mean, I've been down here a few times. I mean, I actually live a couple of doors down here.
So
before.
this is your manor. This is
Well, no, I live in East Town now.
Okay,
But I used to live here when I went, you know, I went through a bit of a bad patch with my company. I'm a plumber heating engineer, and I had my own little firm going. And when we went through the recession periods, there's a lot of us that went down.
Right.
Bills weren't being paid.
Yeah.
I couldn't pay people, and it just sort of, you know, went like that.
Just on that point of being stuck in between bills not being paid to you and you not being able to pay people, when you're in the middle,
Heartbreaking,
the heartbreaking,
because
because the people you must care about are the people further down the line from you who you're supposed to.
they've got
be.
children.
Yeah.
They got children, you know, they're young. They're young. I was young. They got kids. I didn't have kids, but yeah, I felt, you know, so I sold off what I could to make sure that they were paid off. Sold off my vans and everything. But I knew the guy who had the place here, just 2 doors down on the right, 3 doors down. And I lived there until I got it all together again.
Oh, so you had to properly downsize.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just
So
you
I
know,
just rented.
cut back everything.
Absolutely. But I always owned a place, which I sort of let out, but I never did anything with it, so to speak. Do you understand? I kept it away from arm's length from anything, off like my ventures. You know, I didn't trust myself. So, but the thing is, when you talk about manor, my manor is the whole of Newham is my manor. If I'm trying, and I'm quite against tribalism, but if I am being tribalistic, right, then it'll be Newham. And I'm a Newhamer, and my brothers all moved out, right, and they said, why are you still there? And all the friends have moved out, everybody, like they normally do. People come, it's a very transient borough, this.
Okay.
Right, so it's
Okay.
a transient borough, and Town Hamlet was saying, this area was saying, anything around the Dockland area, right, is a transient, it becomes a transient area. So
Historically, it's been the case for
whether it's London or
hundreds of years.
Liverpool or Hull, it's
Yeah.
always been the case because the cheaper properties were in that area.
Yeah.
So, and they moved. They said, "Why are you still there?" I said, "Well, I said, why should I go anywhere where I've got my anchorage and I've got my identities here,
Yeah.
you know, and." I mean, I wasn't born in this country, and I came over when I was about 3. Right, it's about 63, and I've gone back to India, right, and do I feel anchorage? No, I feel an emotional bond, but not an anchorage. It's a different sort.
Interesting.
It's a different.
Yeah,
it's a
that
very,
distinction.
do you understand?
Yeah.
It's like I've got no common corners. I've got no common mark on the wall. There's no common signage. There's nothing that sort of puts me. But I feel an emotional attachment, which is which is quite confusing. But you know, I suppose
To India.
yeah,
Yeah.
Well, to that space.
Yeah.
You
Because
know?
that's part of
Yeah, where I was born and everything.
Yeah.
So
part of your life.
you know, and
But that tribalism that you talk about, we all have it, and we lean into it, to use a modern phrase. We lean into it when it suits us. So sometimes it's fun to have that kind of identity of like, this is how I want, this is the badge I want to wear. But it's generally a temporary thing.
yeah.
Like you use it when you want to use it, but not in your everyday.
No, listen. It's a bit like going to another country and seeing a red bus.
Yeah. And a tear comes to your eye.
Be serious.
Yeah.
I mean, I went on a trip in India, right, in some places, and I saw a red bus, double-decker bus, the old ones.
Oh, nice.
And I said, they were using it as like a restaurant, but
Right.
it was a mobile. They
Lovely.
just go up, so it had the old dinger on it as well.
So still
And
working.
Still working because of the temperature and the climate and everything. Things last a long time over there. But there is this distinction. That Anchorage for me, you could have it anywhere you like, but it takes a long time to develop it. Do you understand?
Okay.
It takes a long time
To make your
Yeah.
to feel you are
blend in.
anchored. Yeah.
You know, because what it is, this sort of tribe, you don't just get it; you have to blend into it. You sort of mosaic yourself into it, like puzzle sort of thing. You know, I can't. I could never see myself, living anywhere else. I've seen the worst, and I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly part of Newham, right? And for all that, I wouldn't do it.
I mean, what's also interesting about the job that you had for most of your life, the plumbing and heating? You've been going into people's homes, so it's not just like you've been on the streets, but you have more of an insight than most of us do, because you have license to go into people's homes and fix their pipes and their heating and stuff. So you've seen so many different kinds of lives.
I tell you, that is 100%. I actually use that. I've been in thousands of houses over my period in the work, and I've one thing you realise that when you go into people, the change, when they talk about demographic change, it's not just the visual change, the smells change, there's something changes, right? And it's easy to say, oh, it's a demographic change, but sometimes people don't demographically move. They pass away here in their house. But when you look around, when you're working, you look around, you see all their pictures, the generational pictures, and you see and I always say to, I ask a question when we have a cup of tea, and like all plumbers, we like to have a cup of tea, and a nice, if you ever get a digestive, you're lucky, you might get a rich tea. That's a traditional, right? But I've been brought up on that. But the thing is, you go in there and they will tell you their life histories. They will talk about things they've never talked about, other things. And I think that's really moulded me. And I'll be honest with you, I think a lot of other people from my trades would have experienced the same thing, that they hear people's life stories. You're there for a short period of time.
You dip in.
But you're dipping it, but you're getting 40, 50 years within a matter of 10 minutes.
Yeah.
The time it takes you to drink a mug of tea.
Yeah.
So that tea is like a time clock.
And it's also probably quite honest, the conversation you're getting, because people are not gilding the lily, they're not trying to impress you, they're just telling it like it is. Because you are only there for a short time, and you are there kind of in a way that...
It's like their therapy.
Yeah.
Because they don't, it's like somebody said it to me, and they get on the phone, they have a little argument with somebody because of customers, whatever it is. And I said, did you really need to talk to them that? And they said, well, you know what? It's a bit of cheap therapy for me. It's good for them, it's good for me. He said, now I've got to get on with my day. So, is that bad?
Yeah.
I don't think it is. I think these little bits of break in our life, these little fractures we create just for a little while, it's good, because you know why? If you let too much out, it could bring so many different good and the bad, and sometimes it's always best to let the good come out. So when people are talking about their things, I can tell you hundreds of stories of people's experience of what they went through, the losses they've had, the children they've lost, the babies they've lost. I could tell you all these stories. That's why I'm very, I became humbled very early on in my life by going into people's houses. So when you're in that environment, now I've come from where I am, and I'm a sort of a colourful white person, so to speak. You know what I mean? So I'm a well-tanned white person. So the fact is, that doesn't come out because what these people see, this engagement sees, they see a person, they see beyond that,
Yeah.
and they look you in the eye, you
Yeah.
know. So yeah, it left a lot. I mean, that's why I'm quite humbled in a lot of people, and I've always got time to listen to people, and I realise how important that is.
And you spoke earlier on about bringing groups together. You
Yeah.
mentioned that. What kind of groups are we talking about? So are you still working now?
No, I retired because I retired about 15 years ago, 16 years, because I took care of my parents. I got a call from my dad, right, and he said, look, I need you to come and take care of me. And only 6 months earlier, he was fine.
Right.
But then he was bedbound.
Yeah.
But, so I took care of him until he passed away. And then your mum had a stroke, so I took care of her. So it sort of went on and on. But it does leave you. Let's put it this way. I have great respect for carers. I used to pay the carers that I used to have out of my own pocket to supplement the money they were getting. When I saw what they were getting, it's absolute rubbish for what they have to put up with.
Yeah.
Especially if somebody's got a bit of dementia.
Yeah.
You understand? So
Yeah.
to me, it's an admirable job. It's not even a job; it's a vocation. And my heart goes out to everyone who cares either for a family member, a disabled member, or elderly, whoever. You know.
Did that close proximity to the last years of your parents' life, did that change your relationship with them because it was so intense and so kind of visceral and physical? The fact that you were with them physically every day, shifting them, cleaning, feeding, etc., etc. They're your mum and dad. Did you have to like slightly shift your perspective of mum and dad?
Yeah, I think you're talking to a guy that quite likes his own company. That quite, I like my 5 minutes of therapy.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you like to walk off.
And then I like to walk off. Or a couple of hours of therapy, followed by 4 pints of beer, or bitter. But the thing, so when you're in that environment, it's intense, mentally intense, physically intense. So because I wasn't given the assistance that I needed from social services because I was a living sort of carer, and I was relative. But I think the only time I got care was from my mum, because there wasn't another female in the house.
Right.
But apart from that, it's a duty. I have a duty to do, despite what else happens, I have a duty to do. And I do it quite openly and willingly without any regrets, without any issues. So whatever happens or has happened, that's forgotten quite quickly at the end of the story, do you understand? And when the final full stop goes on their story, that's when you move on.
Yeah.
So I did that, so I can move on.
Yeah.
But it's a fact you've got to move on, bit. That's the thing. But
that was the phase you're in, and you had to live it and breathe it, and after they left and passed on, did you then have a period of going, what am I going to do now, or were you ready to step into the next phase?
I'm still going through the phase of what am I doing now.
Are you?
And that's 5 years later.
Yeah.
Because physically, I had an operation after. I remember going in there because I was picking up my parents, taking them to the toilet and everything else, that needed to be done.
That's very physical.
I'm telling you, right? And and you're moving them about. Because I'd hurt my hip because of that. I went for the operation and I went there to Whitechapel and I said to them, London Hospital, I said, would I get off that table alive? And he looked at me and said, never been asked that question before, right? I said, but look in your eyes, I'm going to walk away from that one. I said, I'm going to have to decline for the operation And I remember we just come out of COVID as well. So, you know, they were careful, they took what they needed to do, the NHS, and what they didn't need to do, they didn't do. So there was always gaps in there. So he turned around and said to me, why? I said, my mum's still alive, I'm taking care of her. He said, but you can barely do it now. I said, I'll do, or the carer will compensate the rest of it. And I remember 6 months later, 7 months later, she eventually passed, right? And it was COVID that actually sort of took her out.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
And I remember the surgeon phoned me up. I don't know why, but a week later or 3 days later, and he said, Sant, you know, would you, you know, we've got some space, you know. I said, either you've got cameras in my, you know, in my house, you know, and you know what's going on.
Oh, you're a clairvoyant.
You know, clairvoyant, you know, there's some sort of spiritual attachments. He said, why is that? He said, I'm sorry to hear that. I said, so you know, because he must probably made notes. I said, yeah, only last week, a few days ago. He said, can I get the bed ready for you? I said, yeah, you might as well, because the leg's failing me, right? Because my right leg was going.
Yeah.
So I went there, they operated. I was there for a week, and I came out. Funny thing is that recovery, you have to do that on your own. So, but the thing is, it gives you time to reflect. And I thought to myself, you know what, I've always done things for other people. I don't know why, I'm a single guy, you know, but I've always done things for them. I need to start doing things for myself, you know. But before I took care of my parents, I was actually going to retire, you know, at that time. And that was when I was in my sort of early 50s. I was going to retire and travel the world. I'd made it.
Oh, you had this plan?
Yeah, I'd everything planned out, the route planned out. I was going to go from one country to another country and stay there for about 3. I was going to go for about 2 years, 3 years.
Great.
So the idea is I spend 2-3 months in one, depending on how I feel.
Yeah.
And 2 or 3 another, 2 or 3 another, 2 or 3, and then take it from there.
Yeah.
And then travel around the world and see what happens. And that was it. But that never really happened. So my view on that is never make plans.
That's what that taught you. I mean, the expectation of what you were. I've heard of a friend's parents did exactly the same, and then ill health took them down a different route, and it was devastating for them because they had built up so much for this retirement journey around the world. It was huge. How did you deal with okay, I've changed direction, that's not going to happen now? I mean, do you still look at that route? Do you still think about it, or have you just like, done deal, it's not going to happen?
No. I just, what it is, I decided, I mean, this place here was actually a fantastic place to recover. I could come here, sit here, creating groups.
You're talking about here, the community football club?
Yeah, and getting people together, creating groups here,
you
know, bringing U3A here.
Yeah.
And the U3A's...
U3A, the University of the Third Age, which is for older people.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, it's not really for older people.
Okay.
It's... we're trying to get away from that U3A bit, the university part of it, because it comes out as if it's all, you know, like Silver Surfers, right? We're retired from the classroom.
Yeah.
But it's not. We've got them, but it's not for just that. It's open. It's for people who are capable, who are not working, are retired, or you know, they could have some illness that still allows them to be physical, right? But they can't go to work. But they can still go out and still communicate and engage with people. Life doesn't have to be empty, you know, from engagement. So, and this is, the U3O offers that. I mean, I should have gone into salesmanship, really, do you know what I mean? I should have gone into a car salesman, second-hand cars.
So the role you play with the U3A when you were recovering, that kind of thing is...
It's like therapy.
I was going to say a bit, maybe it sounds a bit crass, but journeying in your mind instead of journeying around the world, that's what you can do.
Perfect. That's a perfect way of thinking it. That's what it is. I'm trying to journey through what I decided to do is just stop. I thought, right, what do I need to do what I've got to get to? Right, I thought, right, I've got to sort out my mental state. So I've worked on it, and then the physical, because you've got to need both. And that's why I try to do as much as I can to get me physically, I was a wreck before, so just for me to walk without my stick.
So you were properly broken down?
Yeah, absolutely broken. So I've got a drop foot on the left, the right hip don't work, that knees are shot from plumber. There isn't a plumber that I don't know that's got knee problems and hip problems. So you got to do. You can't just say, right, that's it.
Yeah.
And the worst thing you could do is sit down.
Right.
You've got to keep moving. Even things that have happened in your life, past, bad, good, you've got to keep moving, keep going forward. People have said to me, haven't spoke to me for years, and they said to me, why don't we meet up for, I said, you know what, it's been 20 years. And I said, I'll let you know, because I don't want to go back.
That's interesting.
I want to keep going forward.
There was a conversation I had with a youngish bloke on a park bench called Tom the other day for this podcast, and he said, all those people you know from different points of your life, you can't take them with you.
They're a journey.
Because you move onwards to a different phase.
They're a journey.
So, right, so I would have thought maybe in your situation you would want to hold on to as many acquaintances as possible.
No, but that's because of my character. Because I'm a bit of a... See, that's our bouncer.
I'm a bit early.
Are you a bit early?
Yeah.
Where are you going?
Well, I'm supposed to get here about one.
Check the hooks. Go get the hooks. Yeah, they'll pack it in there.
So you and Karen's mum, you're all here today because of U3A?
Yeah.
Right, and you're setting up for a meeting?
We do a monthly meeting here.
Right.
And thanks to Clapton community, they've, when I approached the trustees, they said, fantastic. Right. So and we've been going for a while now. So we have our monthly meeting here.
And what's that about? Is that about working out what we're going to do for the next month?
What we're going to do for the next month, what we got. We've also got somebody coming in that's going to talk about art sort of things and all that arty stuff.
Do you have to? Do you have to work hard to keep? You talk about forward momentum. Do you have to work hard to keep more people coming in to keep freshening up the subjects you do rather than repeat and have the same people come back year after year doing the same things?
Well, you can't change your pat.
Say again.
Your patter. You can't change your chat. That stays consistent. Otherwise, you lose it. Yeah. Because that's your selling target. Yeah. That's your selling language. So, no, you've got to keep that same. Because what it is, you've got to try to give people like me or others like me who've gone through certain things an alternative. You've got to have an alternative in your life. Do you know, what do I do? Do I drown or do I hold on to the side, right, and wait for another day? Wait till the sun comes out and it's the best day in your life and then I'll drown. At least the water's a bit warmer. You know what I'm saying? Add a bit of philosophy in your moments. So, just a bit, get the sun on your face and then go down in the water. Go down,
I like this imagery you're pulling in.
Blue skies and you've got the sun in your use. But the thing is, all I'm trying to say is that you've got to look at the positive sides. Don't look back at the negative stuff, what you've done wrong. And I understand now why they say you shouldn't try to regret too much, because it will eat you up. If you've got something that you regret, then change yourself so you don't have to have that regret reciprocate or done again or whatever. And if you see it in front of you, it doesn't take a lot to say, do you know what? Try it that way. Try it, because age gives you, if nothing else, it gives you, and it should give you wisdom. That's why I'd rather have the working class running the planet, not these idiots, right, that are sitting up there and we're on virtual third world war that keep talking about. And these people have got everything that's been given to them. They've never got dirt under their fingernails. They've never had to clean their own backsides. But yet people who have worked, dug trenches, worked as gardeners, worked as painters and this and that, they know what's needed to run a country, run the world, run everything. That's what I'm trying to tell people is you've got to keep together, build your little groups, build your little communities. And then once you build it, once you think you've done that, I don't say drop them, I just say create another one. The whole idea, the glue that keeps things together are the little people that you never hear about. Because you get up in the morning, you do what you got to do, you go to work, come home, hopefully you'll get a decent sort of wage that's livable and that you pay your rent, your mortgage and everything else, and that you can take yourself on an holiday, your family on an holiday, and you can have a bit of quality of life. That is all what the average person wants. And if majority of, and I would say about a good 90% of the human race want that, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And that's got nothing to do with identity. You know, it's got nothing to do with identity. It's just human needs. Before we even go on to identity, a child is born without preconception ideas. They've got no ideas of what they're going to do. They don't, we talk about Christianity, talk about Buddhists, talk about all this sort of thing, Muslims, Islam. Nobody knows that, do you understand? They don't see that. They are just sort of a PC that's got no sort of like memory in it, and you're putting memory in there, you're giving them something, you're creating stimuluses, hopefully the right ones. So they have no concept of identity at that time. They say they do, but I don't. They've done research that say that they don't have that sort of identity because they will sit together, they will eat together, and even gender identity, they don't look at that. But as we get older, we get so much rubbish that's coming, and that's why I tell people keep yourself open. This is all part of the travel, because that's all we're doing. We're just travelling. We are just travelling.